Hello and welcome to another tutorial. On this video, I'm gonna be explaining about the Override Weapon Model Location event, which is the 712. Usually you can find it almost at the end. So basically, to explain what the event does, if you ever seen a weapon snap to a different hand, shift to the sheath, or teleport during an animation, this is usually the reason. So the best example that I can give you is if you're using a staff on your right hand or the left hand, and then you have another weapon on your other hand, and let's say you use a dual handed animation for the staff and you use a spell, sometimes you're gonna see that the weapon goes to your back or maybe to the sheath. Well, basically, that's what's causing this. So I'm gonna be explaining basically how to use it and what it does. So the event does not animate the weapon like normal keyframes. Instead, it tells the game to switch the weapon model to a different dummy poly location. So you can think of it like a weapon location switch event, but of course, there's some limitations. And the limitation is that this event is tied to the web absorb pos param. So I have Smithbox right here. So if you can see here, we have the web absorb pos param. And when you open a param of this, you're gonna see a lot of stuff. Most of this is not documented, so I cannot tell you how this works, but at least I can tell you how this works and how to use the event. That way you can move your weapon location. So let's go ahead and dive in. Basically, you have it here, the right hand dummy location, left hand dummy poly, both hands dummy poly, left sheath dummy poly, and right sheath dummy poly. So basically, self-explanatory. If you have the weapon on your right hand, it's gonna use this one. If you have the weapon on your left hand, it's gonna use this one. If you have the weapon on both hands, it's gonna use this one. If the weapon is on the left hand and you move it to the sheath location, it's gonna use the left sheath. And if you have the weapon on your right hand and you move it to the sheath location, it's gonna go into the right sheath. So something else that I wanted to explain and go about is about the Model 0, Model 1, Model 2, and Model 3. So if you open a parts pan with witching and you go ahead and open the XML, you're gonna find that on the registry for the flavors, we have some IDs. So ID 200, ID 201. So if you want to add a third weapon or a third model or a fourth weapon, then you can register them, and it's gonna be 202 and 203. So this is basically tied to the model. 200 being model 0 because it ends with a 0. 201 model 1, 202 model 2, 203 model 3. So to explain also, this name doesn't matter too much. It does need a name, of course. It needs the name of the flavor, but you can make this name anything and make this flavor name anything. But the game, what matters to it is that the ID is 201 or 200 or 202 or 203, and of course that the name matches the flavor that you want to attach the model to, basically. So you can make this a 2 or a 3. It's not gonna be model 2 or model 3 because the game only cares about the ID. So there you have it. So this model is gonna use model 0, and this model is gonna use model 1 locations. So something that I wanted to explain about this is that if you add a second model, right, and you put the weapon on your right hand, you have to know that model 0 is using right hand, and model 1, even if it's on your hip, let's say like this, right here, it's still using right hand dummy poly model 1. So that's why you're gonna see the same dummy poly for the right sheath with the right hand on the second one, because model 1, it's a sheath, so it's going on the hip. Basically, I can tell you right now that this is very confusing, because you can see the left hand is dummy on dummy poly model 0 is 21. So if you make this a 21, when you put the weapon on the right hand, it's gonna go into the left hand because it's using dummy poly 21, but the game recognizes it as the right hand. So you have to understand this and the difference and how to use this. Again, right hand, left hand, both hands. Both hands is two-handed, left sheath, right sheath. So if the weapon you're using on the right hand, it's gonna use this entry the same for each weapon. And also -1 is gonna make the weapon invisible because it doesn't have a location. But if you add another weapon and you want that weapon to show somewhere, then a third weapon, then of course it's gonna use this one. But if you use the event and move it to a sheath location, then it's gonna use the sheath locations. So let's stop talking about this and let's go ahead and talk about the event. So you're gonna see two groups here, the RH model and the LH model. Right hand model, left hand model. And also beside the model, you're gonna see the 0, 1, 2, 3. 0, 1, 2, and 3. You also want to enable this. This is enable while one-handed. And if you want to enable it for two-handing, then you want to enable this also. So if this is not active and you're using the event when you are two-handing, then it's not gonna work if this is not enabled. The same for this. If you have a if you're using one-handing and this is not enabled, even if you're using the event, it's not gonna work. So again, kind of self-explanatory. So if you have the weapon on your right hand, it's gonna use RH, and if you have the weapon on the left hand, it's gonna use LH. And the same thing is connected 0, 1, 2, and 3. So each one, 0, 1, 2, and 3 is gonna use each of the param for each of the entries. And basically, to show you this, if you click here, you're gonna find a couple of stuff here. You're gonna see move to 1H right weapon, move to 1H left weapon, move to 2H right weapon location, and move to sheath. So again, if I move it here, it's gonna use the right sheath, left right hand sheath, sorry, right hand dummy poly location, right hand dummy poly location. Left is gonna use the left, right is gonna use the right, and if you move it to the sheath, then it's gonna use the right sheath because it's on the right hand. But let's say, and I also have two weapons to show you how it looks. Let's say that you change the left hand model also to the sheath. You're gonna see right here that it's gonna move it. So this is very nice that at least on DS Animation Studio, you are able to preview where the weapon is going. And the way that it works again, since this is on the left hand, it's gonna use the left sheath. And I'm sorry that I'm repeating a lot. It's just that this is very confusing and a little bit hard to explain because like I said, right now it's on the right hand, but of course I can use the left hand location and it's gonna appear on my left hand, but at the same time is still on my right hand. But this is mostly used when you want to move the location. So let's say you have a katana and you have a cheese animation, and let's say the animation is going to cheese itself right here. Then of course you want to move this and change this to cheese. So just in case you have other weapons, usually you just want to put this as move to default, unless you're gonna use it. This is gonna use the location. So default location is basically gonna be depending on where you have it. So default location is this if it's on the right hand and left hand. There's also maintain previous change. I'm not sure why. You don't have to use it, because if you're gonna move it to the cheese location and then you're gonna use the event again, to, just put the cheese location again. Like, I'm not sure why this exists. And also this is something else that I don't know how it works, because it sets a free scythe override. So I'm guessing that this is for DS3, but maybe they left it for ER2. Sometimes they do that, but it's not used. I haven't seen it being used, and unknown is basically because we don't know what it does and it's not used. So again, um, I hope that I explained and you could understand how this works and how to move your weapon depending on the params. If you have any questions, if you didn't understand something, you can always ping me under server name and I'm gonna answer. If I don't answer, somebody else can, and that will be fine. I just want to let you know if I'm not available, then you can always ask and maybe somebody will answer. And when am available, if nobody answered, then I'm gonna try to keep up and write back. So yeah, I don't think there's anything else to explain about this. Like I said, if you're gonna use model 0, 1, 2, and 3, make sure that you're using 200, 201, 202, and 203. And of course, you're gonna have to add entries here. And yeah, that's basically it. Um, I hope that this made it more clear on how to use the event, and I hope it was informative, and I also hope that you have a good one.